If this freaking thing goes off without a hitch, it'll be a miracle. And I can tell already it ain't gonna go off without a hitch. Oh my God, are you kidding me? What is up with this? What the hell?
Let's try that. Oh, that's better. I told you I thought I had it all worked out. Apparently, the bugs got infested in the system again. We'll figure it out as we go. We'll go live. We'll do it live. Remember that? All right, let's start the way we usually start. Colorado and state enforced gayness. What a story. Trump ends Obama climate regulations, and Stephen King sweeps the Bad Timing Awards. Oh, he's doing a great deal. Yeah. Anyway, all that and more coming up this morning. Welcome to the Jay Sheldon Show. Marilyn, Danny, hello, good morning. Finally showed up on Rumble. Well, that's a freaking miracle in and of itself, if you know what we've been through lately. Also, good morning, Danny. Didn't make yesterday's show, but hope everyone had a blessed Easter. We did indeed. We missed you, and welcome back. And there we go. All right, we're off to the races. It's a Tuesday. Feels like a Monday to me, but it's a Tuesday. So there you go. Well, I need coffee. Specifically, blackout coffee. But I need coffee. Man. Honest, this stuff gets under my skin, and the last thing I need is something else under my skin. All right, for the third time, the Supreme Court has slapped down an attempt by Colorado to control what people think and say and do regarding sexuality. The Supreme Court, for the third time, you'd think by now they might have learned a lesson, but oh no, we're talking about blue state Colorado. First, the Colorado Civil Rights Commission told Jack Phillips that he can sell baked goods only if he's willing to include messages that violate his religious beliefs. Supreme Court said that violated Phillips' First Amendment rights. Up next, Colorado's anti-discrimination law allowed creative entrepreneurs like web designer Lori Smith to do business only if they too would include messages in their work that violated their religious beliefs. Well, guess what? Again, the Supreme Court said, that violates the First Amendment. Never to say die, Colorado had another law, and this one dictated, listen to this, what licensed counselors like Kaylee Childs can say to their young clients about sexuality and the sexes. They may, the law says, provide acceptance, support, and assistance for, quote, an individual's identity exploration and development, end quote. Now, that might sound okay, but it only works in one direction. Counselors can help an individual who wishes to separate so-called gender identity from his or her sex, but not those who want to align them with their sex. Think about that. In other words, a counselor in Colorado can help a boy, even without his parents' permission, to accept that he is actually a girl, but must tell a girl, even with her parents' permission, who doesn't want to be a boy, that she has nowhere else to go, or that she's got to go elsewhere. This law uses this extremely broad brush of conversion therapy to include everything from discredited and abandoned physical techniques to the talk therapy that Childs uses. No doubt intentional, a rather crude attempt at a guilt by association, but seriously misleading. And the First Amendment flag has got to go up whenever the government attempts to dictate what you must or can't say. Bing, 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 First Amendment. And Colorado is being unbelievable authoritarians here. Under this law, any person who thinks a counselor is saying the wrong thing can file a complaint with a regulatory board, which triggers a disciplinary review process that could result in a counselor losing their license. This invites activists, of course, to target mental health professionals with these kind of complaints. Of course they're going to do that. They're crazy, knowing that even the rumor of a disciplinary procedure, no matter how bogus it may be, can absolutely ruin these professionals' reputations. Just the rumor of it can destroy these professionals' clinics, practices completely. Well, equally undeterred, Supreme Court, March 31st, held that this violated Child's First Amendment right to freedom of speech. First Amendment, quote, jealous protections for the individual's right to think and speak freely, wrote Justice Neil Gorsuch. An 8-1 majority means the government attempts to control the content of speech are presumptively unconstitutional. Colorado law did not ban counselors from talking about sexuality and the sexes, but this law in Colorado dictated what they may say when they do, attempting to control the opinions or the perspectives an individual can express. Gorsuch wrote, it presents an even greater danger and constitutes an even more blatant violation of the First Amendment. This time, the Supreme Court repudiated Colorado's authoritarian tendencies by a resounding margin. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, of course, the lone dissenter. She did that during the argument in the case. Jackson suggested there was no difference between physical interventions like electric shocks and simply talking. This woman, if we do not impeach this idiot, please, could we start a movement, please? She insists on that a ban on certain speech affects speech only incidentally. Yeah, she actually said that. The bottom line, the court said, is that Colorado seeks to suppress views Ms. Childs wishes to express. This law trains directly on the content of her speech and permits her to express some viewpoints, but not others. Colorado does not regulate speech incident to conduct. It regulates speech as speech. Folks, this is a page right out of the authoritarian handbook. Exactly that. Gorsuch closed the court's opinion with this observation, worth the full quote here. Listen. Colorado may regard its policy as essential to public health and safety. Certainly, censorious governments throughout history have believed the same. But the First Amendment stands as a shield against any effort to enforce orthodoxy in thought or speech in this country. It reflects instead a judgment that every American possesses an inalienable right to think and speak freely, and a faith in the free market of ideas as the best means for discovering truth. Man, that is it exactly. So they put the thrump for the third time on Colorado. Idiots. Seriously, folks. Absolute morons. And like I said, can we please do something to impeach this Jackson idiot? She's given us enough ammunition, that's for damn sure. Sane. While we're on the topic of the Constitution, let's bring up the 14th Amendment. This one word in the 14th Amendment bans birthright citizenship. And no, it is not jurisdiction. The 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause contains a word that definitively excludes birth tourism. That word is reside. R-E-S-I-D-E. Supreme Court once again this week heard oral arguments in Trump versus Barbara, the most consequential immigration case that has come down the pike in decades. Case brought by the American Civil Liberties Union on behalf of a Honduran national challenging President Trump's executive order denying citizenship to children born to illegal immigrants and tourists with temporary visas. Question posed was whether the 14th Amendment's Citizenship Clause generates an automatic citizenship to any child born on American soil, no matter what the parents are or why they're in the U.S. 14th Amendment was adopted post-Civil War, 1868, and the idea was to secure citizenship for the freed slaves and their children. That was the whole idea behind this law. Who else is covered? Does that phrase cover the children of illegal immigrants or tourists or temporary visa holders? The prevailing interpretation has been that it does, and that it only excludes children of foreign diplomats, invading soldiers, and members of Native American tribes. In the case of the latter, Congress passed legislation that granted citizenship, just like it did for children born abroad to American parents that are not automatically covered by the 14th Amendment. A lot of the debate, got to follow along here, a lot of this debate has focused on whether a child is subject to the jurisdiction of the U.S. But one word in that citizenship clause has escaped any scrutiny at all, and that word is reside. Here is the clause in full. It's very short. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Now, maybe because it comes at the end, it's been treated as like an afterthought. But if you read that carefully, it shows how the central term reside is there for a very specific reason. The clause doesn't say are born, are physically present, or pass through on a tourist visa. Citizenship is granted to only those who actually reside, establishing a precondition for the clause's application. With reside carrying a constant legal meaning across a lot of areas of American law, including taxes, jury duty, voting, school enrollment, in-state tuition, family law. It refers to an established, settled presence. In other words, the place where you actually live. The Supreme Court, during oral arguments, reside and its significance through a very limited discussion. They did not talk about that a lot, and they should have. When the term did come up, it was in relation to the related concept of domicile, a term that repeatedly appears in Wong Kim Ark, leading Supreme Court precedent on the question of birthright citizenship. In that case, a man born to Chinese parents who were legally resident in the U.S. was initially denied citizenship. The Supreme Court, though, reversed that decision, applied the 14th Amendment, and emphasized that his parents had permanent domicile and residence here in the U.S., so he was a U.S. citizen. So this whole idea of birth tourism, or the illegal aliens who have come here and had babies, sorry, this is not where you reside. Doesn't count. And the Supreme Court just said in no uncertain terms, that is a fact. So deal with it. I'm sorry. Where are our taxes going to? Well, would you like to know that some of your taxes, tax day is coming up, by the way, some of your taxes are paying for members of Congress to go hang out in Cuba. Isn't that nice? Yeah, that is the amazing stock guru, Nancy Pelosi. Here's the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Democrats go to Cuba to meet leaders of a communist, anti-democratic dictatorship. Republicans support the people in their quest for a free and democratic Cuba. You see the difference there? Representative Carlos Gimenez, Republican from Florida, posted that on his X account yesterday afternoon. What prompted that? Well, it appears a couple of his fellow congresspeople, Pramila Jayapal, a Democrat from Washington, and Jonathan Jackson, a Democrat from Illinois, decided to take a little 5-day vacation. They called it a congressional delegation to Cuba, just so they could find new ways to bash Donald Trump. That's it. That is literally why they were there. Well, that and to show support for the Cuban regime. Gimenez continued, as the only member of Congress actually born in Cuba, I say shame on you, Rep. Jayapal and Rep. Jackson, for supporting this repressive and brutal regime. As supposed defenders of democracy, your hypocrisy knows no bounds. Another post, I love this guy. Gimenez condemned the entire Democratic Party. They're the party of communist dictatorships, he said. And then they wonder why our community rejects them. We will never support those who back the most murderous, cruel, and long-lasting dictatorship in the history of our hemisphere. Dems say they were there to assess the humanitarian situation. But they really didn't go there to learn. They went there with an agenda, with opinions already formed before the plane ever took off, came away with those opinions completely intact. They met with President Miguel Diaz-Canel and Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez, and they walked away with the same language the communist regime does. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along. Everything's on the up and up. The illegal blockade of fuel to Cuba, 90 miles south of the U.S., I know because I used to live in Key West, adds to the longest embargo in world history and is causing untold suffering to the Cuban people. The U.S. prevented a single drop of oil from entering Cuba for over 3 months. This is a statement from these two knuckleheads. The problem is the whole economic bombing of the infrastructure of Cuba was happening well before Trump stopped the flow of Venezuelan oil into the country in early January, threatened secondary tariffs to anyone who provided oil to the regime of Cuba. It's got nothing to do with the U.S. and everything to do with nearly 7 decades of communism, repression, alliance with U.S. adversaries, China, Russia, Iran. In their joint statement, these two knuckleheads from Congress continued shilling for the regime. The Cuban government sent many signals this is a new moment for the country. While we were there, President released over 2,000 prisoners. Cuban government's begun to liberalize its economy with significant reforms, including allowing Cuban Americans, entrepreneurs to invest in private businesses in Cuba. Nope, not true. We take a little bit of a closer look at this propaganda. First of all, it is not a new moment for the country. The regime is resorting to desperate survival tactics because it's under pressure and it's failing. It saw what we did to Maduro, saw what we did in Iran, and it knows it's next. You're on the list, boys. If it was truly a new moment, there would be free elections. 1,200 plus political prisoners would have been released. Independent journalists wouldn't be scared to file reports using their own names. And the people could protest without being monitored, harassed, and in many cases, arrested. Absolute bullcrap from these people. And their little trip there, you paid for it. Oh yeah, you paid for it. How nice. I have just seen over on YouTube that our stream has died. And I don't know why. We're still connected, but for some reason we died. Maybe YouTube and Google doesn't like the idea that we're talking about these idiot Congress people and Cuba. Could be. They might have just dumped the feed. Wouldn't be the first time. Insane. All right. Where are we going? This is a good one. A director discarded by the library board after she refused to move almost 200 LGBTQ plus books from the kids area. Yeah. Nice. Very nice. Seriously. where is it? The director of a Tennessee county library, has been fired after she refused to remove nearly 200 of what she described in a letter as LGBTQ plus themed teen books from the children's area of branches she got hired to supervise. She has been discarded, so to speak. A dispute over more than 190 books in the children's section of the Rutherford County Library System ended with Library Director Luana James being fired following a board vote on Monday night. That decision came after a tense public hearing where board members clashed over whether the titles should be moved into the adult section. At the center of the debate, the director refusing to relocate the books. That stance drew both support and criticism from the community and from the officials. Supporters argued that decision should remain in the hands of trained library professionals and warned about restricting access to materials. On the other, board members maintained that issue was about oversight and determining what is and is not appropriate for younger readers. And by the end of the meeting, James was let go from her job. The fate of the books, we still don't know. In case you're interested, these kind of pseudo-freedom lovers who just want to save the children tend to do. It's a little more than caustic screed about allegedly fighting censorship. You know what? I'm not even going to bother to read it. It's not worth my time, and it's not worth your time. This is how they think on the left. They are the virtuous victims. The fact that no one's targeting libraries or any other public institution from the conservative side, if anyone is, it's them. No, protecting the next generation from the normalization of mental illness by shelving LGBTQ plus material where only adults can access them is not censorship. It's not anti-freedom. The parent is a child's first and best teacher. A mom or a dad has got to be the one to decide what is and isn't appropriate. That is what mom and dads do. Not people like this librarian, and obviously with a very slanted political agenda. So for the moment, she's out. She's done. Goodbye. Have a nice life. Man, remember I told you the story about the new currency, which will have Trump's signature on it? Guess what? It's an easy guess. The state Senate, the Senate Democrats rather, are in an absolute pearl-clutching tizzy. They're grabbing their pearls and heading for the fainting couches. And it's like clockwork. You know, somehow, you just know that Liz Warren, Pocahontas, liberal senator from Massachusetts, would be jumping right in on a story like this. And yes, you would be correct. Implosions are imminent. Courtesy of Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, gave him the bad news this week on celebrations related to the 250th anniversary of America's founding, including the addition for the first time ever of the signature of a living president, number 47. Donald Trump will be added to the paper currency. Oh, the Democrats. They are 100% sure this time that they've got Republicans cornered. You might say the Senate Democrats have worked themselves into a tizzy here. A strongly worded letter from Liz Warren and her progressive comrade, Senator Jeff Merkley, to Bessent. In part, it reads, Senators Warren and top Democrat Senate Banking Committee and Jeff Merkley pressed Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent in a letter Thursday to explain how the decision will in any way benefit the American public. In reality, Americans are facing an affordability crisis, and America's economy is on shaky ground, they wrote, pointing to instability linked to the ongoing conflict with Iran, from higher mortgage rates to concerns about global inflation. It's important also to remember that the people on the left, people like Pocahontas and Jeff Merkley, are basically socialists in Democrat clothing who think your money belongs to the government. That's all ours. It would explain why all the important deadline for Warren and Merkley's demands will be met on April 15th. Yeah. Now, what happens on April 15th? Yeah, you know. The letter continues with unbelievable amounts of fake outrage, delicious leftist tears, which I take with my coffee in the morning. Listen to this. It's deeply unclear how, if at all, the administration believes the emblazoning U.S. currency with Trump's signature will address any of the serious problems facing the American public. Yet, President Trump does have a history of cashing in on his name to paper over abject business failures. Citing a Washington Post report from 2017 that found Trump had made millions of dollars licensing his last name to entities around the world. Well, there's the go-to, the personal insult for the left. Warren's still probably hopping mad about the news that tax refunds to Americans are soaring by double digits. Then again, the Dems could maybe just be grumpy over the release of the budget proposal by the White House to Congress this week. Shows a lot of their most cherished, woke, wasteful pork pie programs are getting sliced up like a butcher's cleaver on a side of USDA grade beef. They're all going to be gone. Do you see how they tried to spin this again? Demanding to know how it solves the affordability crisis. It's all about the midterms, you know. Imagine having the guts to ask about lower prices for the American people when Biden and company, with the aid and comfort of the Democrats in Congress, caused the border crisis, which helped to strain the resources, which helped to blow up the occupancy rates of housing in many cities, most of them run by blue governments, gummed up the supply chain of goods, inflation skyrocketed, all during Biden's 4-year term. There's also this concept which seems to completely elude them. It's the very definition of petty. When people can't see that symbolism is a part of the presidency and a very rich heritage as a nation. It isn't an insignificant thing to mark our founding 250 years ago. The Democrats not really big on caring about upholding traditions that unite us all as Americans. Instead, they are forever looking for ways to tear us apart into tiny little fiefdoms of identities to be conquered, because that's what they do. crazy. Crazy. Despotic, neurotic, and likely psychotic. Liberals have become the insane clown Stasi. You remember the Stasi? Yes, we're going to keep bashing the liberals, which of course includes the Democrats. What do fat, blue-haired tundra Wookiees, women with wieners, and your grandma in her frog costume all have in common? Well, they are likely all Democrats. And they are nuttier than elephant patties. I like that. Nuttier than elephant patty. Forecast, gonzo, with a chance of explosive violence and or another stupid costume. Pay very close attention, if you can remember, to Biden's various tyrannical taunts against the political side that still believes in the Constitution. That would be you and me. It's worth fighting for. Get the shot, stand on the sticker, bend your knees, raise your sleeves, watch your dad die through a ground-level hospital room window. Is your mom dying on an upper level? Sucks to be you. Now, put on a mask, or I will call one of Kathy Hochul's COVID snitch lines. Remember that? Take a look at this. Look at that. That is the number of snitch lines in New York during COVID to report rule violations. Despite this actual despotism from the Democrats, brought to us by your purple doom pukin law, who firmly believes that she is a victim of modern-day fascism. That fantasy makes your family vulnerable to lefty violence, by the way. Your gay nephew has embraced Islam, if he only knew, which is sitting on his ideological hands until he gets the chance to throw him off a building. Your fatty acid sister-in-law screaming that Trump is a misogynist as Islam rapes its way across Eastern Europe. How do these stooges develop into such idiocy? Simple. They were told that they're good people. All they have to do is resist Donald Trump. That's it. You don't need to know why. Just go ahead, resist Donald Trump. Check out this potty mouth, and yes, that's a warning, salad-dodging orc. She tries to assure the public that she is sane. Yeah, that ain't working.
Country is mentally ill. This whole country is mentally fucking ill.
It's going to be better than ever.
Yeah, because you're a racist piece of shit and you can't wait.
Can't wait.
You know what? When your Social Security is gone, you ugly piece of shit, you'll be the last one fucking laughing, not the rest of us. Oh my God, I know you can barely read, and you probably got a 6th grade level of education, you piece of shit. But I can tell the only joke around here is you, and look in the fucking mirror.
Isn't that nice? What a pleasant little lady. This next one, half-naked piglet, at least has some physical attractiveness. But that becomes pretty irrelevant when she actually opens her mouth.
Okay, like, if y'all hate women that much, I hope you never get pussy ever again.
Oh, very nice.
Like, y'all hate us this fucking much? Okay, you better not come into my fucking, like, oh, you just sent pics, da-da. Yeah. pics of a gun I'm finna buy.
What the hell is she talking about? I love this Gorgon on the front lines of the MAGA defiance. I mean, with troopers like this, how can we possibly lose? And she's even got a QR code. Isn't that sweet? Oh my God. Please don't feel the need to pay attention for this entire video. Just enjoy her cray-cray eyes. She's truly, truly nuts. She tells more lies in the first minute than Tim Walz at a horse show. This is, I don't know, this is just weird.
Elon Musk is about to get a treason charge. I think that's what this is about, okay? Everyone who's asking about why Donald Trump is being so quiet right now and, how it's unusual. And then, we got Joe Rogan saying that Elon Musk knew about the election results 4 hours before because of an app he made. The Alfie Oaks guy getting raided. Even the news down there with the Alfie Oaks thing, they have it wrong. They're talking about, why is the Secret Service at this Alfie Oaks house? You're like, he has something to do with Secret Services, to do with protection of the president and all this stuff. I'm like, the Secret Service is the Treasury Department. They are. They're the...
Oh my God. These are not made up. These are real people. This Bashante's uterus apparently full of tumbleweeds, but she's got a message for men who know they're men. Take a listen.
Don't have a uterus, you don't get to make a decision.
Did you just tell me I don't have a uterus?
It will never happen to you. It will never happen to you. Are you telling me that you have a uterus?
Well, you couldn't tell me I don't if I claimed it. My pronouns are uterus owner male.
I love this guy. And finally, back to Pocahontas, as if you needed more proof that white liberal females are complete cuckoo nuts.
We are gonna fight back! I am angry because of who will pay the price for this. It will not be wealthy women. We are...
It will not be wealthy women. For everybody that believes in liberalism, especially white broads, is an American phenomenon. Check this UK relic out as she assures an Iranian cat that Iran isn't run by homicidal lunatics. Take a listen.
You won't get democracy through America.
No, not for America, but for Reza Pahlavi. I'm
Yes.
a young generation.
Yes.
I want freedom in Iran.
You won't get it.
So do you have any other options? Islamic regime is killing more than 50,000 people.
Oh, don't be so
protesting.
silly. Don't be so
It's
silly.
including my
It's
own
lies.
friends.
It's lies. So
We are
we'll
here.
not get
We are here
democracy.
because we were abused by Islamic regime.
can I
They
ask a
killed my
question?
own friends, and
Yes.
you're telling me it's a lie.
No, I didn't
What
say it
media
was
do
a
you
lie.
watch?
I did not
BBC?
say it was a
That's
lie.
why you don't know
I
anything.
said
Watch out,
that 30,000 were not killed.
Honestly, I can't deal with this anymore. All right, I'm just being lazy, but I just got to add one last one. Because if I had to watch it, you got to watch it.
My choice! My choice! My choice! My choice! My choice! My choice!
My choice! They're nuts. They're all really, truly, honestly nuts. This list goes on and on and on. The undesirable, chuggerific termagants from the left who feel empowered because somebody told them fat chicks are hot. They really haven't embraced this reality we're living in. You're not hot. You are, at best, a relief station for frat boys. And that is the best you can ever hope to do. Oh, dear. All right. We need a break from all this pain and suffering. And I have a perfect way of doing that. Nara Park in Japan. It is cherry blossom season. If you did not know this, and if you go back into the early 500 and something episodes or 400 and something episodes, I am a complete Japanophile. I love Japan. My house looks like a Japanese museum. I have antiques and artifacts, some going back to very old, ancient Japan. I have one of Hokusai's original manga books. Yeah, an actual one. It's the most valuable thing I own. It's virtually priceless. My house is full with, I have a complete setup for tea ceremony. I don't have the space now to set up a tea room, but I had that at my old house. Here's the catch. I've never been to Japan. In my dreams, one day, and I'm probably too old and sick now to be able to pull it off, but I will go to see, I don't want to see Tokyo and all the big cities and all that. I want to see the little small towns, the places around Kyoto, Mount Fuji, of course, but the little off the road places that no one ever talks about, but are just as close to old Japan as still exists. And one day maybe I'll get there. We'll see. But in the meantime, since we've just been entertained by a bunch of fat, screaming, lefty numbnuts, I thought we might want to take a few minutes and just relax and enjoy not only the deer from Nara Park, but also the amazing spring footage. Look at those cherry blossoms. Wow. That is amazing. And you know what? It just brings absolute moment of calm. Fantastic. You're right, Marilyn. I did have a real and awesome tea house when I lived in Torrington, in Connecticut. Believe it or not, it was an old chicken coop building in the backyard of my house. I had a Japanese garden in front, and that led out through a shoji gate, a torii gate, down a stone walkway to what I had turned into a Japanese tea house. It was a lot of fun. Man, you know, I'd forgotten all about that. Thank you for reminding me. All right, my friends, we are done, cooked, and out of here. We're going to encourage you, please, to help support the show. Those links are in the description down below. Just expand that. It says show more. Find something you want to buy, Blackout coffee, whatever it might be. And the hedgehog and the pond, you're right. All great memories, Marilyn. All right, we will see you again tomorrow for the Wednesday edition. Please do help support the show with our sponsors or just make a donation through our PayPal link, and I'll see you all again tomorrow.